Hey everyone, it's me, Kellen. So as we start this week, I wanted to give you a quick introduction to Mary Rogers' Emphatic Femininity, which is a chapter from her book called Barbie World, which was published in 1999 by, I forgot already, Sage. Cool, that's what I thought. So this is a scholarly book about the different social roles of Barbie. So broadly, this book is, as this book says, to think about how Barbie talks about femininity, heterosexuality, and whiteness. And so throughout the various chapters, this is what Mary Rogers is going to be focusing on. So before we do that, I just wanted to give you a quick rundown of what this book chapter is like, because it can read as kind of dense if you're not sure what you're looking for. So as we go through this, I'm going to explain to you what sort of moves she makes as she makes them and why, and I'm going to try to introduce the argument to you, so as you read it, you can focus on the parts of it that are relevant for you. The reason this essay is important is because Mary Rogers creates a critical lens or a critical term called emphatic femininity that she uses to understand or expose the history of Barbie and the social role that Barbie has played in young girls' lives. And that's where the essay starts. So you'll see this list of adjectives as we begin. This is adjectives that people have with Barbie, but this is basically just setup. The first 4 pages are setup for what her overall argument is, which is basically like this, is that Barbie portrays a middle-class version of femininity that's bound up with ideas of what it means to be a woman, what it means to be straight, and what it means to be white. In other words, Barbie exemplifies a very, very particular kind of person. And that's what Mary Rogers is going to explore. As it says, Barbie is an icon of femininity associated with the middle reaches of contemporary Western society. Middle reaches is middle class. I don't know why she says it like this, trying to be all fancy and stuff. But then she gives examples. So she gives different kinds of Barbies. She gives different experiences of different kinds of girls from small Midwestern cities to schools where African Americans are predominant, trying to see the different ways, comparing different adjectives that people use. All of this is just set up for where she starts to get to where she starts to get into her main argument. I've sort of highlighted things. We even talk about Sarajevo in Bosnia. We talk about Japan. So she's thinking about not just the United States, but also a global perspective. And what she's really interested in is taking this idea of emphasized femininity by a famous sociologist named Raewyn Connell, and using this to re-explore what it means to be emphatic. So she takes this term and it says that Barbie exemplifies an emphatic femininity. And what that means, she defines it immediately afterward. So whenever you introduce a critical term or a keyword, you will define it immediately afterward in the next sentence. So emphatic femininity means when you take feminine appearances and demeanor, a word for attitudes, to unsustainable extremes. So she then uses an example of Barbie being a police officer. So see how she has an assertion and then grounds it with a specific example following that axle format. She talks about how this police officer Barbie has no masculinity. She gives specific examples, how she has an evening dress, how she has no gun or no handcuffs, and she says that Barbie thus feminizes law enforcement. And that's what Barbie does over and over again. Because she's so emphatic, she's able to take traditionally masculine things and turn them on their head. And the way that she says this, or the way that she defines femininity, is that it entails particular things, like being nice, soft-spoken. Well, being nice. And then when she goes on to define nice further as being soft-spoken, polite, helpful, and sensitive. And then she gives a bunch of different examples as to how that has materialized in various different kinds of Barbie culture, from the toys themselves, to novels, to little golden books, those like books with the golden edges. And now probably even TV shows. She doesn't talk about TV shows because Barbie didn't really have a lot of TV shows back in 1999, but now she does. She talks about how femininity entails specific sort of social bonds, as well as the way you act and look, how it makes you have certain groups of friends. So she talks about Barbie's boyfriend, she talks about her sister, she talks about her other group of friends, and how femininity plays a particular kind of role in the sort of behaviors you're allowed to imagine for these people. So this is basically what the essay is about, and then she goes on for the next several pages to give different kinds of examples I've highlighted a few of them and I'll post the highlighted version on D2L for you to look at because, again, this is a complicated article. I'm going to also post things on Perusal and I'm going to ask specific questions from this reading. But I want you to read all the way down to page 25. Sorry. All the way to Dolls in Play. You don't have to read it any further than this. Unless you want to, you totally can. If you think this article is really cool, I mean, feel free. I'm posting the whole thing. But by and large, this is really what I want you to take away is an understanding of what emphatic femininity is and how Mary Rodgers explores that idea and how other people talk about it as well. Again, this is a really long essay. I do not expect you to read the entire thing. Skim it for the parts that are really necessary, read it for the parts that interest you, but other than that, do not try to read every word here, because a lot of it will not be useful for you. If you have any questions about it, though, feel free to send me an email or feel free to post below. Have a good one, and I will talk to you later. Well, yeah, I guess talk to you, email you, whatever. Communicate with you. Have a good one.